Hey, everybody, welcome back to STR Unfiltered. I'm Bill Faith, your host, founder of Build Short Term Rental Wealth and the STR Wealth Conference. I'm really excited today. I have a very good friend of mine that's going to be a special guest. His name is Jose Cornejo. He is the founder, owner, and operator of Cornejo Rentals. Just to give you a little background on Jose and I have known each other for about 2 years now. He is a member of my mastermind. He is a co-host. He is an investor into the Poconos market. He's an investor into the OBX market. He's expanded his portfolio and he has left his job to come after real estate financial freedom all within the last year. This is not about the number of units that he has. This is about very similar. If you follow my story, it's about doing more with less. So he has been able to leave his W-2. He's actually on vacation in the OBX right now. We're going to bring him on here in just a second and find out how he's been able to achieve, these outcomes. So that way, hopefully you'll be inspired. You'll be motivated as well. This is the first time ever that I have brought a guest on like Jose. I've only had my super team and one or two other people. So this is very special for me, and I'm excited to have Jose, and I know you guys will love it as well. So without further ado, Jose Cornejo, how are you, my friend?
Hey, Bill. Great.
It's
Doing awesome.
early. It's early here, earlier here than it is for you, but it looks beautiful in the OBX.
Yeah, it's amazing. So I've been out here on vacation, waking up every morning to see the sunrise, which is just behind me. So it's been amazing.
Why are you in the OBX? What do you got going there?
Well, so I brought my family down, my parents, my whole family, my brother-in-law and his family, just to enjoy our house. This is one of the houses that we actually put into rental program this year. So it's always been a dream of ours to be at the beach, and this house has a hot tub. It's got a private saltwater pool. Is large enough to host all of us. So I just wanted to show that what we've done, especially to my parents, because they'll always tell you how proud they are. So sometimes we need that.
We all
So we're
like
here.
affirmation once in a while, don't we?
Yeah, that's right. And also, quite honestly, um, it's also to see what other folks feel like we might need to the house just to get it a little bit better.
Right.
I actually received a note from a guest last night asking if we had a crock pot and some other type of kitchen appliance. And I said, we have two of them. And I'm actually right here right now. So if you need anything as you're coming in on Saturday, let me know and I'll personally get it for you. So
Why do you? I just want to unpack that for a second. Why do you have two crock pots?
um, our house sleeps 18. And so I think sometimes we try to, all of the families obviously try to plan ahead for the next meal. We're thinking of the kids. And with a lot of people like that, I think one crock pot wouldn't be enough. So we got two, just to kind of make sure that we overdo it.
So I think it's a really interesting point for those of you that are listening at home or watching this on YouTube that Jose has two crock pots. So there's a lot of things, and you hear me talk about taking a regular property and turning it into a super property, right? Jose is sitting at a super property right now in the OBX. And some of you may be thinking, Bill, you're talking about crock pots. It's like Allen Iverson talking about practice. We talking about practice here? We're talking about fucking crock pots because the amount of crock pots that you have or the amount of pans that you have or rolls of toilet paper is a huge deal, is it not, Jose?
Absolutely. I
So
mean,
you're in a market that doesn't even supply linens half the time, or uses the property management starter pack. So tell me about your property. Is it beachfront? Is it tier 2? Where are you located? How many bedrooms? Like you said, it sleeps 18. It sleeps 18. And then what is the shit that you do that your competitors don't?
right. So my property, as you can see, like those houses right behind me are oceanfront. My house sits technically one house back, but there
So
is
tier
no
2.
drive. Tier two,
Yep.
there's a beach boardwalk right next to my property that takes you all the way back. I don't know if you can see it, might not, but it takes you right in between those two houses, and you just walk. So the ease for families that are coming with kids after jumping into the pool and just walking and literally turning around where I am and watching them go to the beach is one of the biggest draws that I got when I was looking at this property to buy it. You talk about, you got to buy something special, right? So my special is I can hear the ocean, I can see the ocean, I can smell it. But that added factor is I didn't want to be necessarily beachfront because that would have probably cost me another $1 million. I'm just level 2 with the best property that I can have. But in terms of your question about
Tier 2's the
some of the
best.
appliances,
Jose, tier 2, and I think you and I had this conversation maybe with Scott Sarver very beginning when we first met. Tier 2 is the best place to buy at beach properties. Best
now if
value.
you can find a tier 2, if you can find a tier 2 without a road in front of you, that's even better. So for me, this was sort of a no-brainer. The house needed a lot of work. I spent about $120,000 on it, and funny enough, I got a note last night from another host that was thinking about coming over to see my house, just because they've seen pictures, they've seen kind of how I have it set up, and it's unusual to see something like that in the OBX. I'm seeing more and more, which is great, because it just raises all of our game. So it's good. I was actually sitting here this morning thinking about what else can I do, and I was talking to my brother-in-law, and they're out surfing right now. So we talked about maybe putting 2 of those big hooks to hold the surfboards.
Oh, gotcha.
Because right now they're on the ground, and sometimes these surfboards are very expensive, and people take good care of them. So thinking of a place, I have the place in mind where to put it, so that when they're just coming right back from the beach, they can just hang them and then go do their stuff. And it also
StoreYourboard.com. Little shout
go.
out for StoreYourboard.com. I mean, that website, if you have paddle boards or kayaks or surfboards, is incredible. So Jose, you didn't start in the OBX. You're a Jersey guy, right? And you started in the Poconos. Kind of what's transcended over your journey? So in the intro, I mean, you've left your job. You're full time as an owner, investor, and also you're one of the super co-hosts, right? So let's start in the Poconos. You had multiple properties in the Poconos, and you've been in the. It's not like you just got in the game in 2022. You've been doing this for a while.
That's right. So it's been about 17 years for me. So I bought my first property out in around Lake Wallenpaupack in the Poconos. At that time, believe it or not, the first property that I bought was lakefront, and that was kind of my thing always. My wife and I talk about what is it going to draw people to come to your house, right? We always want to be around water. So we try to find, the best lakefront at the time. We found it in this little small community. We renovated for about a year. My wife was pregnant, gave birth to my son. We started renting. And as soon as we did that, I got an email 2 days later from the HOA saying that we don't allow rentals. Now, this is 17 years ago, right? And, I went in front of the board, made my case, but this wasn't going to happen in this small little community. So basically they gave me 2 years to dissolve. So I rented it out for 2 years, and then I sold the property. I made a little bit of profit, but I bought another property, lakefront with a pool, which at the time, if you remember back in the day, people did not want pools.
Right.
Like, they were actually selling. This house sat in the market for about 275 days, and it didn't sell because it needed a lot of work too. This doctor from New York never came to the property. It needed a lot of work. So I picked that up, and I started doing the what we always would do, like Craigslist, and send the contracts via mail, have it sent back, get a payment, get a check, and all that stuff. So I've been in the game since sort of the prehistoric times when we were doing all this manual. Then I picked up 2 more properties in the same development, maybe 5 years later, and then another 5 years later after that. So I have 3 properties in the same community. Now that community has actually banned short-term rentals. So I'm grandfathered in with there's only 10 properties in that 600 unit property development, and there's only 10 permits for that, and I own 3 of them. So for me, that's critical, and it's always done well. And it's all about kind of what you offer, right? Going a little bit above and beyond. So all of my guests leave with a very good experience. I always iterate that I'm providing a 5-star experience. If it's not that, let me know. And a lot of times they don't let me know anything, and they just give me a 5-star review. Sometimes there's things that go bad as well, but we have this communication, this rapport, and where they just send me a text, and I take care of it. I have a person that takes care of the houses in the OBX and in the Poconos as well. So for me personally, I think the Poconos is a great spot because it's so the proximity from Philadelphia, New York, New Jersey, and even Boston is pretty close for everybody to come together.
You just got to be really diligent about the pockets of regulation in the HOAs and the Poconos.
100%, 100%.
And a lot that scares a lot of people off, but for me, that actually gives me a lot more comfort to where if I can find that spot because regulation is so active there, then you're going to have a little bit more security.
Yeah, that's true. Like myself, I have a very good relationship with the HOA, with the association. I go above and beyond to make sure that the security guards are taken care of. That the office staff knows me in case there's an issue with people trying to get in the pool and don't have passes. They call me by name. The person there just texts me and takes care of it, and then I take care of her. Right.
There's not enough emphasis in our industry, Jose, about fortifying those relationships and strengthening them, right? And you get some preferential treatment. It's funny. Scott Hill, my partner and co-founder of Market My STR. We'll talk about that in a second. For the first time ever, him and I went to dinner last night with our wives.
Wow.
And I took him on a Bill Faith dinner. He had the experience last night. And he was like blown away because, I get treated like royalty at these two places that I took him. And he's like, just like, how long have you been coming here? I said, I know everybody, the managers, they give me my private tables, all that type of stuff. And some people think it's ostentatious and it's stupid and it's crazy, but we all want to be taken care of. And it's just by building relationships and, taking care of those people. And it's the same thing, if the Poconos is tough. I've never operated there, but I can't, how many people I've consulted for and coached up there. It's hard.
Sure.
And, you've been in it way before it became what it is today. And that was kind of the Poconos investments that you had. I remember one of the very first conversations we had about return on equity, auditing those 3 properties. What do we do with those? Going down to the OBX. And then we had our Miami mastermind meeting, before the STR Wealth, retreat the last week of August last year. And then I remember getting a call from you. I think it might have, if I remember correctly, it was like October or November, right?
Yeah.
And you're like, I'm done. I'm leaving my job. And you had a pretty damn good, sales job working for a great company. What led you to be able to leave your job? And I think it's been roughly maybe 9 months now, if my memory serves me correctly. Mm-hmm. To be able to be on vacation today, to add properties, to grow your co-hosting business. How have you done that? What's been the impetus for you to go from being corporate W-2 executive to Jose Cornejo Rentals, owner, investor, and co-host as your full-time gig?
Yeah, I think we talk a lot about this, right? And it's just a matter of making sure that you have a plan. But the biggest thing is just the mindset. Part of my journey is always been to give a lot. Like, so even with my company, I was, part of this marketing strategy team at a top digital marketing firm in New York. And I was always, trying to make sure that all the clients were taken care of, like that I would give up my time to just make sure that I was doing a great job. But what I think I lacked is I wasn't really taking care of myself and my family and what I really enjoyed. So part of that, and I think it was just right after we left Miami. So sitting at the pool there, just, hanging out with you guys and just staying an extra few days and hanging out with my parents and just watching them enjoy this. I'm like, you know what? I feel like I need to just kind of explore this area because it just gives me so much joy to be able to do this, right? And financially, we all have to kind of make sacrifices and we all have to run our numbers. But I think at the end of the day, if you've set up a good plan and a strong foundation, I think those will come. Now, look at me, right? So I decided to do that almost a year ago. And then we got into this really, really, shortening of revenue and downturn, right? In the Airbnb space, 20, 30% down. I still feel that I'm all right because I think the planning that I did 9 months ago sort of included this time and where it's going to be ups and downs. It's not just going to be making money all the time. So I sort of budgeted for this. Actually, I budgeted for the next, 24 months to make sure that I was okay in case something like this would happen. But then, we just continue on and we just continue to upgrade. And, that was around the time that I just closed on this house that I'm standing in. So That's almost like even a little scarier. But to me, I feel like if there's a vision and there's a plan, at the end of the day, when you're standing here 8 months later after signing the contract on this house, and feeling really good
Right.
about what it looks like, this is a good product, right? I feel really good that people are coming and going to have a good time.
So
Yeah.
Jose, I want to talk to you just for a second about the something that's happened within the mastermind. You've been a member of my mastermind. I think you're like your 2 year anniversary might be like literally today or close to it. But inside of that, you create these relationships and you kind of have this crew that's almost inseparable at every single meeting, right? And it's you and Brian and Scott, and you guys are comparing data together. You're doing pricing models together. And Brian also owns in the OBX like you do. Scott's in California and the West Coast and all over. But how is that impacted specifically? Because your relationships were there before you left your job, right? So how has that benefited your transition and your growth and just having not the mastermind, but those three guys or you three in this crew?
Yeah. So I feel like Scott and Brian are like one of the one of a few people that I can trust. You obviously being another one. And I think, I'm always thankful for that introduction, right? I think without your leadership, it'd be hard to have met these two guys, but everybody in the mastermind is awesome. I think we're so open to everything. Like I just talked to Scott yesterday and I'm on vacation, right? Who would do that for their friends? I will pick up the phone at 3 a.m. if Scott called me. Brian will pick up the phone. He's, I think, somewhere in Fiji doing some
Right.
Doctors Without Borders right now. If I call
He's
him,
in Fiji and he just closed on another place in the OBX like 3 days
That's right.
ago.
That's right. So, and so we talk all the time. We talk at least 2 times, 3 times a week, and we always end our conversations. And this wasn't planned, but we always say, "Hey, if there's anything you need, let me know. What can I help you with?" Right? And we know that question is always in the back of our mind. So when we think, "What do we need?" we always know who to pick up the phone and call, and it's that easy. We talk numbers. We tell each other how much we make, how much we didn't make, how much we're listing things for. We have no filters for our conversations, and it's important. It's almost goes beyond sometimes like family relationships, right? Because sometimes you think you can confide in your family, but they don't understand because they're not in the same place. These guys are in the same place as I am. I think probably financially too, a little bit higher load, but it doesn't matter. Like we just share everything, and that sort of breeds around us as well. Because I think we've now started to kind of talk with other mastermind members that are kind of becoming part of our group. And I don't want to call it our group because we're all a group, right, Bill? But I think
Yeah, 100%.
yeah,
I think that if you remember there's two tenets in my mastermind that we have a no asshole policy, and you have to give more than you expect to receive. It's
yeah,
that, and I think that has been embodied by the three of you. And there's others in the mastermind. I'm just bringing this up because of you. And I'm probably going to have Scott on, as well after you on the podcast because you guys are you have already achieved, and Scott's trying to achieve, and now he's trying to help first responders, as you know, right?
yeah,
What the dream is for most people to have a job. How do I stop working, and how do I live this passive lifestyle, and how do I travel? And I pay attention to shit, to everything, especially people that are in my inner circle like you. I see you traveling more with your son and going to more, travel soccer games. And you, not that you weren't active before, but when we have jobs or when I had 4 or 5 businesses that I had to be active in, there's sacrifices that happen. And that's really why you wanted to do that, right?
yeah. We were just in Texas at a tournament, and I remember last year when I went to the same tournament, I was in the hotel room working the whole time, and I was able to go up there on Father's Day this time, right, and meet up with my son, and the first thing he told me is like, "Dad, I'm really happy you're here," right? So I think things like that just is why we do this, right? Why we do this for our families. I have another younger son that I'm going to start coaching in the fall, so it's
Could never
really
do that
amazing
with a
for me
job,
to be
right?
able to do that. Well, I did it for my first one, but I had to make sacrifices, right? So if I needed to be at practice at 5, that meant I needed to stay after I went to sleep at 10 o'clock to 12 and do some work. So I think this at least gives me the flexibility to do things when I need to. I'm an early person, so I always get up around 5 a.m. So between 5 and 8 is typically my quiet hour. sort of Zen hour when I get a lot of stuff done. The cell phone doesn't ring, the emails are not coming in. So I'm really focused on what I need to do. So to me, I get everything done at that time. And then during the day, I take care of what I need to do. But for the most part, I am present. I am there. I'm at the pool
Right.
with my son. I'm playing, I'm throwing him up in the air because that's what he wants to do. And that's kind of the freedom for me internally. So when I go to bed, I feel great to get the day started again. And again, also the other thing is the relationship with your partner, right? With my wife, I think we're able to share more experiences together. We're actually going to Europe, to London and Ireland this summer to meet up with our son that's going to be there for goalkeeping soccer camp. So it's great. Without that flexibility, we wouldn't be able to do that. And our business will continue to run. Right. So I think
When are you going over? When are you going across the pond?
It's probably late July.
Gotcha. Nice. That's awesome.
The first week in August.
So one of the things I want to touch on before I let you go is really the importance of marketing. We talked about how you built a super property. Every one of my properties, I turn into these super properties, which then turns into a super portfolio. A lot of people think that it's just about luxury, and people like us are redefining really what luxury means. It doesn't have to be expensive, right? It has to be intentional. It has to have certain components, like you talked about having 2 crock pots versus 1. People may think that those are super small things. Those are really big things on how you host. But marketing is a huge component of this. You used to work for one of the most reputable and largest digital marketing firms in New York. You are now probably our biggest power user for Market My STR. How important is marketing in your growth and your profitability for the portfolio that you own and also that you co-host?
So marketing for me has been critical. I have a digital marketing background, so I know how important it is to make sure that you hit your target. With my properties, I feel like it's giving me an edge because I am getting to the people that are actually booking, and then once you get them booked, then you're drawing them into your flow and your journey, and then after they leave, you continue to touch them. So as a marketer, I know that there's plenty of tools that you can piecemeal your stack and then get it right. So when Market My STR came on board and you approached me to be part of the beta group, I said, hell yeah, like let's this, because I know how important it will be, specifically from where I was at that point about of my marketing stack about 3 months ago. I was just getting ready to onboard a VA, so there was a lot of things that were going on. And I said, yes, absolutely, because this will make my life a lot easier. So once I got all of my landing pages shifted over from lead pages into Market My STR, and how easy that process was, I got all my 5 properties loaded up. Then we did some cool stuff, around the properties, and we made them look even super sleeker. Now that was ready for my social media, right? So now I can actually pixel each one of those properties and make sure that I understood what the statistics were, because before most of us are using OwnerRes, and OwnerRes only gives you the capability of putting 1 pixel on the page. With this one, you actually can understand who's coming to which house and then retarget them. So that to me was great to be able to do. I've been trying to do that since I joined OwnerRes, and they weren't able to do it. And then the other biggest piece for me, Bill, was I haven't been able to tackle the email and SMS component of this whole equation yet, because I feel like, and I know how critical email is to be able to touch them after they depart and add value, in their journey. But I just didn't find the time, or with all these other things that I needed to do, I just wanted to make sure that I was doing it right. So maybe I was looking too much into the tools that would do everything for me. So I did MailChimp and this other stuff, but everything was sort of disconnected because I had to load databases and stuff like that. With the database that I already have in Market My STR, I can use SMS to target them. And SMS, as we all know, when I text them, they text me right back. So that's great. That's the great component of it. I can do that right after they leave and say, hey, how was your trip? I hope you got home safe. By the way, check out this website that has all my properties in case you or your friends want to ever come back, and I'll give you a 10% discount. Right? I'm doing what you're doing to do that, and then tag up the emails. The emails are already set up on this drip campaign, on this workflow, that they're going to get them every 6 weeks, and it's going to be added value. And again, it's not going to be a salesy thing. And then the last piece was just centralizing all of my communication. So my cell phone goes everywhere with me, right? So like everybody else, but being able to anonymize that and be able to just work off of a business account, and have my VA and other partners just connect to that and reply to it and have it all in one place.
You're talking about like the anonymous phone number that you get in Market My STR.
Phone number that you guys give us, but more important, the messaging platform.
Yeah.
That you. So it's, a lot of times typing on your phone is great, but I'd rather type on a computer and just have it, more set up that way, and then it just goes into a history that you can always go back to.
Right.
That happens for Facebook instant messengers. If you have a direct page, so somebody texts you there, hey, what's the price for this? You automatically reply. Things that you probably can't get to your phone because you're not logged into that account on Facebook, so you'll miss it. And that's what was happening to me. Now I get alerts as soon as they send, and so I can respond and take advantage of that guest. So for me, a tool like Market My STR has been amazing. It's made my life a lot easier, and I'm seeing the profits already, because one of the cool things that I get enjoyment from is when I see a booking come in, I've tagged it to say Market My STR. Like, that's the website that it comes from. Like, exactly where it comes from. So when I get this message that says you just got a booking on the Market My STR platform, that just puts a smile on my face, because to me it feels like it just paid for itself, right?
You can tag that in the CRM with your guest and know that Bill was worth $8,000 to Jose, right?
You have to show me that.
That's one of the things that I love, and I love what you're doing, and you're segmenting those out and using those tags, because now if you're running Facebook ads, you can segment by your Facebook ad. If you're running email marketing or that text marketing to your former guests, you can see what the true value is of each one of those guests. I love that you are doing that. I want to talk about last weekend just real quick, and then we'll wrap up. You got a new co-hosting client, and literally you left to go on vacation. I think it was either Friday or Saturday. And between Friday to Monday, you had her direct booking website set up and like funnelization ready to go with Facebook ads, like within 3 days. How was that possible?
That's right. So I don't think it would have been possible without the tech stack that I already have in place. I think a lot of times we try to find the best tools, and I feel lucky that I already have them, warmed up and ready to go. So when a co-hosting client comes in, I can easily ingest them in my owner-res, create a widget for a booking page, and this Market My STR, I have the templates that I know work and get clicks. So it's just a matter of putting up the pictures, putting up the right content for the house, and it's done, right? So, and then the person owns it. So, we can actually create the website under their domain, and they will be able to own it. And then if there's any tweaks or anything that need to be made, either we make them or they make them, but they can see it. Right?
So you're basically taking the landing page templates, the sales page templates, duplicating it, and then just customizing for that new client, correct?
That's the easiest way to do it for this particular client, just because time was of the essence. I mean,
and she was already a Market My STR client as well, so that probably made it even a little bit easier.
Correct. So, I mean, literally, I think it was Friday when we were packing, and I said that we would work together and help. So Saturday, as I was driving, 8 hours down here, in the morning, we were talking, and we sort of set things apart. And then I had my team work over the weekend to get the right pictures and the right pieces together to help just kind of put it all together into Market My STR. So we're ready. We're ready to launch. We're really only just waiting for the payment, aspect of it, for that Stripe or Evolve, not Evolve, the Stripe or the Converge piece, so they can take direct payments, and we're ready to go. So
I think that's one thing that's really, really valuable, Jose, and I appreciate you sharing that, because speed is critical. And I think a lot of people take way too much time. And I see this in my Facebook group all the time. I'm waiting for my direct booking website to be built. I'm waiting for it to be built. You just built the direct booking page. You built the Facebook funnel, everything in less than 3 days. That's a huge advantage. And I think that's a lesson that people need to take away. I don't care if you use Market My STR or Lead Pages or HubSpot or whatever, but you need to have something to where you can be efficient. And Jose was doing that on the drive. So you made your wife drive, and then you were sitting in the passenger seat with the laptop on the phone, sounds like?
That's right.
That's awesome. Well, Jose, I really appreciate you joining me on the podcast today, especially when you're on vacation. How do people reach you? I see Cornejo Rentals. Is that on Instagram or Facebook, or how do they get in contact with you?
Yeah, that's just my domain, but I'm at JL Cornejo 7 on Instagram, or you can find me under Jose Cornejo for Facebook as well. And I'm around if anybody needs any help with anything, whether it's in the Poconos or the OBX or just in general. If you're trying to set up and want to know a little bit about how I did it and how I set up my structures, I'm happy to help. And I'm always grateful to you, Bill, obviously for all the coaching and all the education that you continue to provide. I think it's great to be part of this group, because it's just there's a lot of new learnings every time I talk to you, so it's amazing.
Well, I appreciate you, my friend, and just remember, everybody, Jose Cornejo is a super investor and a super host and a super co-host. So if you're looking for somebody that literally can get your whole marketing and ad campaign and direct booking deployed, which is marketing is the biggest component when you're looking for a co-host, Jose Cornejo is your man. Thanks, Jose. Enjoy the rest of your vacation. I'll talk to you soon, my friend.
All right. Thanks a lot. See you, Bill.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for joining me on this episode of STR Unfiltered. I look forward to seeing you on the next episode. Happy hosting, everybody.